Tonight, Omicron unknown.
We don't know for sure.
Countries across the globe banning travel. Preemptive strikes against the latest coronavirus variant.
We really have no data on severity, whether it's as severe, light, milder, or more significant.
Plus, a high-stakes Supreme Court case could overturn the Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion in America.
And the Christmas season in full swing.
We really are Christmas people, so it made sense for us to do the book.
A new book lets you turn through the pages of some favorite holiday traditions and stories.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
Could a new COVID variant mean another COVID Christmas? Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Browder. Tonight, still a lot of unknowns about the Omicron variant. President Biden trying to calm fears, telling the American people it's a cause for concern, not a cause for panic.
Still, it's sending shockwaves throughout the medical and financial communities, leading several countries to impose travel bans in an attempt to stop its spread. CBN's Brody Carter joins us with what we know so far. Brody.
John, Jenna, unfortunately, not much is known yet about Omicron. There's enough knowledge for the World Health Organization, though, to label it a variant of concern. Now a growing list of countries are hoping to stop the spread with more vaccinations and boosters, plus travel bans. And the question remains, is that action too little too late?
This probably is already global. It is possible that the travel restrictions will help slow things down a little bit, but it will not have a large effect.
Scientists are racing for answers after South African epidemiologists identified the Omicron variant less than 2 weeks ago in Malawi. Since then, it's spread to more than a dozen countries, including the Netherlands, Denmark, and Canada. No cases found yet in the U.S. The president hopes travel bans to 8 countries in southern Africa will slow the inevitable.
The reason for the immediate travel ban is there were a significant number of cases. I think it's almost inevitable there will be, at some point, that strain here in the United States.
This ban comes about 3 weeks after the White House lifted pandemic restrictions on visitors from more than 30 countries, including South Africa. It now joins a growing list of countries tightening restrictions, likely leaving thousands stranded.
The objective here is not to punish, it is to protect the American people. As you just heard the president say, this is not going to prevent, it is going to delay. And that delay is going to help us have necessary time to do the research by our health and medical teams, to get more people vaccinated and get more people boosted.
This variant is a cause for concern, not a cause for panic.
Over the weekend, New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency, saying to be prepared for a possible surge of the strain.
It's inevitable that sooner or later it's going to spread widely.
Meanwhile, Malawi's president is calling Omicron travel bans Afrophobic. Scientists worry these bans could deter other nations from being transparent. Dr. Fauci says drug companies are now working to crack the code.
The pharmaceutical companies are preparing to make a specific booster for this, but we may not need that.
South African health experts and specialists, they say the variant is mild and many are being treated at home. The biggest concerns are an increased risk of transmission due to the numerous mutations. Now, scientists are investigating exactly how widespread and potentially serious this Omicron variant can be. The White House says another set of lockdowns are not off the table just yet. Brody Carter, CBN News.
All right, thank you, Brody. Well, this new variant comes as the White House is dealt a major blow on its vaccine mandate. Today, a federal judge halting the president's vaccine requirement for healthcare workers in 10 states. The rule applies to hospitals that receive federal funding. This injunction by a Missouri-based federal court putting the vaccine mandate on hold in the 10 states that sued the Biden administration. The district judge, a Trump appointee, writing, "The scale falls clearly in favor of health care facilities."
Well, looking ahead this week, the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments Wednesday in an abortion case that has far-reaching implications. Some see it as the legal linchpin that could overturn Roe v. Wade, the 1973 decision that legalized abortion here in the United States. Today, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds described the case known as Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health as the Supreme Court's opportunity to overturn a, quote, tragic mistake.
The question in the case is simple, yet it lies at the heart of the American experiment. Does the United States Constitution require states to withhold legal protection from an entire class of defenseless human beings? According to any straightforward reading of the Constitution, the answer to that question has always been a resounding no.
Well, today CBN News spoke with Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood director turned pro-life advocate. Here's what she had to say about the case.
This is huge. I mean, I think that we've had so much momentum recently in the past, I don't know, probably 10 years. We've had a lot of heartbeat legislation pass in the states and then, of course, be struck down because of Roe. We've had, PRE-EMPTIVE legislation be passed at the state level, be struck down. We've had, just a lot of sort of state battles be won and then be struck down because of Roe. And so, a lot of states are sort of saying, this is what we want. States are putting forward their will and they're saying, this is what we want. And this federal case is blocking the will of the state. And so, this is an opportunity for the states to finally take back their power, which is really what the United States was founded on in the first place, was states' rights. And so this is really an exciting time for, number one, the states to take back their power, but also for things to be sort of set right. And for these laws that have been passed previously now maybe to finally be put in action. And of course, on November 1st, the Supreme Court heard challenges to the Texas heartbeat law. And so we'll see what happens there. This really could be, for the first time, in almost 50 years, that preborn children really are defended in the womb.
And CBN News will have live coverage ahead of this seminal Supreme Court decision. You can catch our special report tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News YouTube channel. Well, the Senate is back in session, and tomorrow the House follows suit, returning to what was a sleepy Washington over Thanksgiving. That means the $1 trillion Build Back Better Act is back on the table. Democrats say the House-passed social spending and climate change bill creates free pre-K, increases child care assistance, lowers drug costs for seniors, and slows global warming. It passed without a single Republican vote in the House and one Democrat voting against it. Some centrist Democrats worry the law will cost more than advertised. Well, here now, Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections. Nathan, always great to have you here on Faith Nation. Let's just start right there. Congress is back from Thanksgiving break and returns to another round of debating that $1.75 trillion spending plan. Nathan, any chance those two moderate Democrat senators come around to this bill allowing Democrats to clinch another legislative victory before Christmas?
Well, there's a chance, right? I mean, we're focused on West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. But I just feel like there's not the sense, they don't have the same sense of urgency as really most of the rest of the Democratic Party, right? If Manchin and Sinema had more of a sense of urgency, then I think they probably would have agreed to something by now. But the fact that we're still here, we're still talking about the lack of them being on board is an indicator to me that they're not close. And this can't just go right up until Christmas, because Democrats are going to need to pass this through the kind of convoluted reconciliation process, which means it's going to take time. So they're going to have to come to an agreement or come to a compromise, I guess, sooner rather than later, because it's going to take time for it to get done if the goal is to get done by Christmas. Yeah, we'll see. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer seems to think it's possible. Nathan, last week we talked about the ugliness of hyper-polarized Washington politics. This week we have Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado making an anti-Muslim comment about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Boebert did apologize in Politico reports her office has tried to set up a meeting with Omar. Nathan, where does this go from here? In Washington, can there be forgiveness? Yeah, and then there was a subsequent call, it looked like, between the two congresswomen that I'd just say did not go well. I know I try to think about, why do politicians do this, right? And I think it's because if they make comments like this, they get applause or they get laughs, they get donors or dollars. People donate to their campaigns, they get votes. they get more time on cable news. And so we've created this whole system where the people who say the most outlandish things or the most personally offensive things toward the other party actually get rewarded for it. And so I think, coming back to what we were talking about last week, some of it's on an individual level that, every time we either make a donation to a candidate or vote, or even what we're reading or watching on TV, we are rewarding a certain type of behavior. And if voters keep rewarding extreme behavior, we're just going to have more politicians, saying things that are personally, I think, just outrageous.
Nathan, turning gears here a little bit, all eyes are going to be on the Supreme Court this week over abortion. How do you think this case could, in the outcome, could affect the midterm elections in 2022?
Well, the outcome is a big unknown. If the Supreme Court upholds the Mississippi law, I think that actually could help Democrats electorally, meaning it would give them a renewed sense of passion about why it's important to have elected leaders in place, including the president, who is appointing Supreme Court justices, and the senators who are confirming those justices. In Republicans, I mean, it would be a victory, but it would almost be, sometimes it's tough to keep up the sense of urgency if you won the battle. And I know this case is not the be all end all, but if the Supreme Court decides to strike down or the Mississippi law, then Republicans will be back to, this is important. We have to get more elected officials who are going to agree with our position on this issue.
Nathan, just a few seconds left, but the Omicron variant of COVID-19, South African health minister calling the travel bans unjustified, that country feeling punished for reporting the variant. Could there be political fallout over this?
Well, there's always a potential for political fallout, right? I mean, I think that this is an example where time might be in, I'll say, Democrats' favor, because Democrat in the White House and Democrats in control of Congress, that hopefully by the time we get to late summer or early fall, closer to the elections, then, we're not talking about whatever variant is going on with the coronavirus with the same level of passion. And so that would help Democrats if it's not a day-to-day operation.
All right. Nathan Gonzalez with Inside Elections. We always appreciate you being with us.
Thanks,
Nathan. You guys.
And coming up, 'tis the season. Favorite Christmas stories and traditions of the Fox News family.
Well, welcome back. With Thanksgiving behind us, and maybe for some of us carrying it around our midsections, the Christmas season is now in full swing. From trimming the tree to baking cookies, we all have our favorite holiday traditions.
I know. I think a lot of us are recovering today from Thanksgiving. And now the Fox News family is sharing some of their own in a new book. Take a look.
It's serious and it's fun. And again, you get to know people in a different way when you see how they actually celebrate Christmas.
All-American Christmas, stories and traditions of the Fox News family. From the snowy ranges of Wyoming, where Dana Perino spent her earliest holidays, to the Florida beaches of Shannon Bream's childhood. Each chapter is a snapshot into the gifts they loved, the foods they ate, and the people and places that mattered most.
We really are Christmas people, so it made sense for us to do the book.
All compiled by Rachel Campos Duffy and Sean Duffy.
For us, we thought, isn't it great to take other people's stories of how they celebrated Christmas when they were little, how they celebrate it now. What we love about our Christmas is that we both come from very different traditions.
Starting with the tree, Rachel, who came from a military family, grew up with fake Christmas trees. A much different experience than her husband, who grew up in rustic Wisconsin.
Well, I was like, who doesn't cut down their Christmas tree? You have a fake Christmas tree in your house? That's sinful. So that was one of our traditions that
I
Rachel
love that
has
about
brought
Wisconsin.
into. And so now we take our kids out every year. We have 9 kids. We take them out, and it's usually after Thanksgiving. Whether it's a week or 2, we'll go get our Christmas tree, and it's a big celebration for our family as we kick off Christmas.
The Duffys highlight all of their favorite traditions. Another comes first thing Christmas morning. Before racing down to open all of their presents, the family sings Away in a Manger.
I'll just say about singing Away in a Manger, this was a tradition that came from my husband's family. But to me, I love it. It's like that last bit of anticipation, but it's also the last chance that we have before the gifts to remind our kids of what Christmas is really about.
For them, Jesus in the manger is the reason for the season.
For us, it's what it's all about. Now, in our book, we talk about other people who are friends of ours at Fox News who have different traditions. Some of them are from mixed Jewish and Christian heritages, and they have to mix all these things. We're both Catholic. I'm Hispanic Catholic. He's Irish Catholic. And so the beauty of that is that we as a family are very intentional about it. It's very important to us.
They say the book and some of the personal stories will have you tearing up in one chapter.
I loved hearing their stories. I mean, John Roberts is somebody we see. He's a very serious newsman. His story about losing his dad when he was 6, just before the holidays, and just sort of how that colored not just that Christmas, but so many of the other Christmases. Indeed, he says that the merrier the Christmas, the more he can contrast it and appreciate it.
And laughing in the next.
And we actually started crying during Jesse Waters sent us his submission, his story. And
we cried laughing with Jesse.
Right. I was going to say. This family went from New York, New York, out to Pennsylvania to cut down a Christmas tree. They netted it, right? Put it on the top of the station wagon, drove home, put it in the stand, unnetted it, went to bed. And he said they woke up at like 4 a.m. and the cat was going crazy in the house. They actually said they had a squirrel that came out of the tree and the cat was going nuts, tearing up the house. Literally, this is out of a movie.
So from the Duffys and the rest of the Fox News family.
And outside of your network and our network, there's not a lot of people saying Merry Christmas. So exactly. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And we should mention the book also includes some recipes. There is a Sister's Famous Chex Mix and a secret Christmas punch, just to name a few. John?
Sounds exciting. Coming up, the State Department's shocking move that has some religious freedom advocates accusing the Biden administration of turning a blind eye to Christian persecution.
Each day in Nigeria, Christians risk mutilation, abduction, and death just for worshiping.
But the U.S. State Department just dropped the West African nation from its list of top offenders of religious freedom. CBN's Jennifer Wishon has more on the surprising move.
It was a shocking move. The State Department decided to take Nigeria off the list of countries of particular concern, despite documented evidence of state-sponsored persecution, such as discrimination, detention, and the use of capital punishment for blasphemy. And for more on this, I'm joined by the chairwoman of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, Nadine Nyenza. Nadine, thanks for being with us. You know, you and I, along with a number of your colleagues, have talked extensively over the past year about the egregious violations happening every day in Nigeria. Did you see this coming?
No, we were appalled, shocked, speechless by the removal of Nigeria from the countries of particular concern list this year. You know, we've recommended them to be put on every year since 2009. So we were thrilled last year when the administration added them. But this year, the removal was a big disappointment.
I know we're talking about the State Department. You chair an independent agency that makes recommendations that the department, the administration can take or leave.
Right.
But I mean, do you have any context for why this happened?
So what we do is, regardless of a country like India that's an ally, we will still speak out and tell the truth. We don't consider anything else other than the facts on the ground. And so our recommendations are bipartisan. We have a full agreement with all of our 8 commissioners right now. Normally we have 9, we have 1 vacancy, but we're very bipartisan on Nigeria. And I think it's important to note that this isn't just about the violence in Nigeria. This is about the Nigerian government. There's plenty of documentation that this government has engaged in or tolerated particularly severe violations of religious freedom that meet the threshold for a country of particular concern.
Well, one of the other countries you are concerned about and have been for some time is Russia, religious freedom conditions there. Tell us what the State Department did with Russia.
So we were pleased that they did add Russia as a country of particular concern, which is something that we have been recommending since 2017. So Russia has, been purging non-traditional religions for quite a while, and it just keeps tightening their grip on the entire religious communities in their country. So we did see some positive movement, but the taking Nigeria off the list was one of the big disappointments. In addition, they ignored our recommendations to add India, Syria, and Vietnam as a country of particular concern as well.
Syria, not on the list.
Not on the list.
Very interesting. You know, I often tell people that something they may not understand is that the promotion of international religious liberty has actually become an important American value. That diplomats are all trained on this by law to promote this and to know what to watch out for in countries. And so, and I know that governments, the U.S. government has a lot of considerations, as you've pointed out, when they're looking at these countries. But it is hard when you, as you said, see, the U.S. kind of looking the other way.
So we're seeing all this really diplomatic growth around the world on religious freedom, which is why it was such a huge disappointment to see Nigeria treated differently this time in all of the horrific violence that's happening. And like we said, it's not just the violence in a country that matters, it's the fact that the government either is tolerating or engaging in the violence itself. And we believe Nigeria government itself is meeting that threshold. And that's why this CPC designation was so important and why it's so dangerous that designation has been removed.
Chair Mayenza, as always, thank you so very much.
Well, thank you so much for having us and for highlighting these important issues.
Still ahead, lighting the national menorah, the holiday tradition at the White House.
And finally tonight, we're marking important occasions on both the Jewish and Christian calendars. Not only is this the first full week of Advent,
it's also the second night of Hanukkah. An important moment last night at the White House. American Jews celebrating Hanukkah by lighting the national menorah on the first night of the 8-day celebration. Second Gentleman Doug Imhoff, Vice President Harris's Jewish husband, attending the lighting ceremony. And on Wednesday, the President and First Lady will participate in another menorah lighting at the White House. And that is going to do it for Faith Nation tonight.
Special time of the year. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.